In this episode, Chris says it filled it up a little too much.
Filled it up a little too much.
And Chad says, we're using that. We aren't editing this one.
No, we're using that. We're not editing this one.
And Crawford says, you can throw that TED Talk up again.
You throw the TED Talk up again.
So today we're going to be talking with Steve from Salt Flat Coffee out of Utah. I'm Chad, my partner in crime there, Chris. What's happening? He's the guy over there. I'm the guy
over there.
Yeah, I got to change mine to the guy over here. That's what it was. I forgot.
The guy that's eating his toenails.
Oh, jeez. That's disgusting. You know what, though? Props that you can at least get your foot that high. I can't even do that. I can't.
I'm not going to lie.
That hurt? Yeah, that hurt. Like, that hurt me watching you do that. I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, props on you. So,
there's not enough coffee. Let's try that again.
So we're gonna, yeah, there you go. There you go. You gonna put it in your coffee?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
so we try this again?
No, we're using that. We're not editing this one. This is gonna be a good one. No, so all right, so we've known him for quite a couple years now. So he's out there roasting coffee. It's good coffee too. I tell you, man, I like it. That's why every time I meet up with him, I always buy some bags. But I gotta order some more. You ever get that order in yet?
I have not ordered mine yet. When
Right.
we got done the other night after talking for as long as we did,
God, dude.
I went upstairs and passed out, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'll probably end up ordering some while we're sitting here because I do have my wallet on me this time.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice. Yeah, and we'll find out at the end of this week too who wins. So we'll probably do that live. I was thinking about maybe doing that draw live on the Facebook page on who wins the coffee for posting it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because I want to do that. So, of course, we're starting this at the worst time ever. We've talked about doing this podcast about veteran companies. 2 years now, 2.5 years now.
Oh, brother, I think we've been talking about it for more than that.
Oh, God,
almost
I
5
know.
years now.
And now, by the time we actually start doing it, it's during the pandemic when we can't even be in the same room. So, but studio's looking good. Everything's done. I just got to do up the walls, and dude, it'll be good. I did the cleaning today. Clean it out so I get the carpet down. So, still got the yellow.
That is an amazing portrait
Yellow.
you have in your background there. Chad.
Which one? I have a couple.
The sheet portrait.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is actually
No,
a picture. That's not a sheet. That's a picture. Of
No,
a sheet.
it's no, actually it's the 99-cent store tablecloth special, which is covering my TV.
Nice.
And then I have another one over here over this TV, and I got a couple down, like on this area, cover some stuff. So when I'm working in here, because I can't work here and then work somewhere else when I'm doing school stuff, so I just cover everything up and then work on the sheetrock. So I got to finish the door up and the walls, dude, and it's done. It's good, finally. So we're going to be meeting up with him. He's going to tell us about his company. We've been talking about doing this for years. We want to talk to van companies, but we also want to go and visit those companies so we can actually take video and do that where we can actually show people these companies and talk to the owners about their ups, their downs, their struggles. You know, I've had 3-4 companies. Had fun starting them. Had fun watching all of them freaking burn. You know, lost a couple dollars along the way, but it was an experience. Every single one was an experience, and I'll do it again in half a heartbeat. Every single one of them. So especially now that I've learned more, and now being here in Ohio, I might, especially the MMA one. I've learned a lot. I learned a lot from that failure to actually hopefully be successful next time around. That's
Well,
for sure.
and those of you guys don't know, Chad has decided to go to law school. We talked for years about this is what we were both involved in, and he decided to go to law school so we didn't have to pay for all the legal paperwork that we were going to do for the company.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody's confused, he went to law school to not have to pay for the paperwork for a canine business.
Yeah.
And he is currently getting ready to graduate on the 15th.
Yeah,
and getting ready for the bar.
May 15th, studying for the bar. Yeah, and then my undergrad was accounting, so I don't have to pay somebody to be our bookkeeper. After doing this for a while, in the different businesses for a while, I have a CPA now that lives down the street from me that I text regularly on, hey, what's going on, dude? Got a question. So, so now I have a CPA, and after doing accounting as my undergrad, I'm okay paying somebody to do that work.
Yeah.
That I'm not gonna, that's not for me. That is not for me.
And I have already turned over my $1 bill to Chad to have him on retainer.
Not yet.
And as soon as he passes the bar exam, I'm going to go do something extremely stupid and call my attorney.
I got to pass first. So your dollar was just really $1 for me. That covered that tablecloth right there.
Yeah, well, as long as you have it in a frame, you'd be like, this is my first dollar, but we'll square that away once your first case. Now, the bad part is if we get into court and I end up in jail for life for stealing a pack of gum or something, I'm going to really think that my best friend / lawyer sucks.
Never
we'll
claim.
Find that out in the future.
Never claimed to be a smart lawyer. I never claimed to be smart. I was never smart, but I like having fun.
I am making another cup of coffee.
Yeah. I'd have to go upstairs and refill mine.
It filled it up a little too much.
Here he is. Salt flat coffee. Man himself. Let's see how this works out. There he is. There he is. Can you hear us though? Yeah, I could have sworn like a week ago we got this solved. There's like a mute button. You know what? Next time we have somebody, that's what I'm going to have on my edit. Just screening across the top. Press the mute button.
Yeah, press the mute.
Connect to audio. Press the mute button. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
And
he smiled on that one. I think he heard us.
You hear us?
Hey.
There we go.
There he is.
All right. There we go. See, I tell you, I'm just going to have the words on the bottom of the screen. Press the mute button. Like that. That's just going to... right here. Right here is going to be like how to do stuff in my back screen. Is like how to hit the play. That's right. Well, hopefully next time or in the future, it's going to be simpler. And it won't be over Zoom. Hopefully in person. So what's going on, boss man?
What's going on, fellas? Can you hear me okay? My audio level's good?
Yeah, we got you.
You're actually really good. You're like the Italian music we were playing earlier that just so loud.
Nice.
You're real quiet there, buddy.
Yeah. You're
Get
good.
that adjusted a little bit.
Who's that, me or you?
You're real quiet.
Man, I shouldn't have been. I ain't changed nothing.
Yeah, you got to say something so we can tell.
I did.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
I think your hearing is just going out. Anyways, so salt flat coffee. All right. So Steve, this is how it's kind of going to work, man. I'm going to ask you a question kind of on the business side, right? Veteran. Okay. What branch were you in?
I was Navy.
That's okay. Not everybody's perfect. So then, you know, the guy over there, he's going to ask you a question on just like your actual business part. I want to ask like the business side of it. So just to kind of get it started, just get it going and rolling, is you chose an LLC, S Corp, corporation, or what was your main, what's your business?
Yeah, so we decided to set up as an LLC purely for the ease of getting started. S Corp, C Corp, there's a lot more legal hurdles to jump through. Mm-hmm. And, you know, just starting out, I mean, nobody gets into business with the plan to fail. But we just really wanted to have it as simple and Barney style as we could when we were initially starting off.
And when you did that, was it you just send in the paperwork to the Secretary of State there of Utah, like what, like $50 or something like that, and then they just send you a letter?
Yeah, so we actually, what we ended up doing was we met with several accountants in our area, and we talked to them about what we wanted to do. And they kind of guided us through the process and kind of told us, hey, these are the forms you need to fill out. This is what you need to do. And they really kind of coached us through that process. And that's really what I would recommend anybody interested in starting a business. The very first place you got to go is to your accountant. And because there are, when it comes to laws, I mean, I know I'm not allowed to go over the speed limit. I know I'm not allowed to shoot people, this kind of stuff. But there's so many laws, and if you're really not up to speed on those, it'll cripple you from the very beginning. Trying to get out the gate and not really know what you're doing, you're gonna find yourself in a bad spot, and you're gonna be paying a lot of money that you don't have to.
Right.
Initially, starting a business from the legal standpoint is not terribly expensive. But the other part of being an LLC was we're able to kind of tie more of our own personal finances with the business and kind of have those run side by side. And that makes life a lot easier. I know, and every year when the first year when we went to go see the accountant, I was absolutely terrified. I was like, man, we really didn't make that much money, and this is going to be, we're going to get crushed. And the accountants really know how to do that. And you don't have to have an accountant on staff full time.
Right.
Meeting with an accountant, by far, business wise, the best decision that we made in the beginning. And Trudy, my wife, she really headed that up. She was the one that set up the meetings and scheduled everything and got that going. And I just kind of showed up for the meetings to be there for it, so that I was kind of aware of what was going on.
Nice.
Did you do anything with the VA for any kind of business loan or anything like that, or did you guys just start off fresh?
So we didn't start off with the business loan. We didn't go to the VA for anything. Our overhead initial startup was not, for us, it's a lot of money, but it wasn't a crazy amount of money. And so we didn't really feel the need to do that. And so we just kind of went with our own, what we had set aside, and kicked it off.
Nice.
So just for people that might be listening in, this is our first podcast that we've done. And we're going to be doing these, hopefully knocking these out every week. Tell us a little bit about your company and where you started. I know I saw a clip of you the other day, standing next to your Jeep. I believe it was your Jeep. What is that thing?
Yeah, it's a 1984 Jeep Scrambler.
That thing is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Salt black coffee on the side of it. So, but I listened to the article and I thought, wow, this is pretty cool that you're kind of expanding. Tell us a little bit about your company and how you started, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. So, back to the very beginning. So Trudy, my wife, and I, we both grew up in families that were coffee lovers. And, she remembers drinking coffee with her family at a young age. And I remember drinking coffee with my family at a young age. And it was just always part of our family cultures. And when we got married, shortly after we got married, Trudy came to me, and this was probably 2008, 2009. And Trudy came to me and said, hey, we should start a coffee company. And I said, what are you talking about? We don't know the first thing about starting a coffee company. Like, you're just crazy. Like, you may as well tell me I should start a spaceship company. Like, I don't know the first thing about a coffee company. And then, and lo and behold, 8 years later, 9 years later, here we are. And I ended up actually getting a job with another coffee company. and just kind of was excited about it. Started off the bottom, taping boxes in the warehouse, and moved my way up to the roasting department, and eventually learned how to be a roaster, and started roasting coffee for them. And then they came to a spot. They were selling so much coffee that they couldn't fulfill the demand. So they had a supply chain issue. They just didn't have enough coffee they just couldn't roast enough coffee, couldn't roast it fast enough. And they already had a couple of vendors that were roasting coffee for them. They weren't roasting it all themselves. But the vendors that they had weren't willing to take on more business. And the vendors that they didn't have, everybody within a 100-mile radius told them either they couldn't roast their coffee or they wouldn't roast their coffee for, whatever reason, political reasons or whatever, just difference of opinion. And so I kind of saw an opening, a spot where something we could do. And so I went to him and I said, hey, this is what I plan on doing. Why don't Trudy and I build out our basement into a coffee roastery? Now, mind you, I'm still roasting for them 8 hours a day during the week, Monday through Friday. And I said, I'll roast coffee for you guys nights and weekends. And at first they were really hesitant. They were like, I don't know, and then they finally said, all right, well, you're going to have to start a business. You're going to have to get certified by the government to roast coffee. So, and,
in a way,
all these hurdles.
Yeah. So in a way, like the company you work for, they kind of just helped out with that start. They were like, okay, listen, this is what you need to do. If you want to be a company, this is what you need to do. So then you speak with the CPA to make sure that, they're not trying to throw you a curveball or something like that to just help them out. You want to make sure it's still on your side. You have ducks in a row. So I kind of want to point that out there that, somebody might be saying, hey, we're going to help you, but you still want to double check, trust but verify kind of a thing. So you still kind of want to watch out.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward, but there's a lot of people out there that would tell you if you have an idea, you've got a product or a service that you want to create, go ahead and start your business and then go find customers. And we kind of did that backwards. So we actually had our customer first, and then we created the infrastructure to support the deal that we had made with that customer. And that worked out really, really well for us. And we all have something that we like to do, stuff we like to be engaged with. But I would encourage, just the average veteran out there that's interested in starting a business, regardless of what it is. I would go out and look for customers first. Go find your customer. And then, because it's a lot easier once you have a defined customer and you know what they want, going and creating the infrastructure to support that customer is a much easier path than creating an infrastructure with no customers and then trying to build your customer base to meet that demand. And if that makes sense.
Yeah. And you guys started 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah. Well, it'll be 3 years in June.
All right. So basically 3 years ago, you guys started. And now I saw your post. You guys are in a store.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is awesome. So your post is now no longer online orders, local at least. You're starting a distribution where now you can go to a shelf and buy it off of the shelf local. Right.
And that was a big step for us. The internet distribution is fantastic. It's very simple. But having a customer that just, that's local that says, hey, I want to buy your coffee, but I just want to swing by somewhere and pick it up. Mm-hmm. Having that brick and mortar establishment was kind of nice. And that relationship is still very, very young. Yeah. But we've got a lot of hopes for that. And I anticipate that outlet for us is going to be really, really positive and be a good revenue stream for our business.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to that store and you walk by that coffee, isn't that just blow your mind that that's yours and it's sitting there? for people to purchase. If there's any left on the, if there's any left, it's always good to walk by and go, what the hell? There's no coffee here.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good thing too.
No, it's great. Yeah, it's a really, really good feeling.
Yeah, and it's also got to be good when people post on your Instagram that, you know, I've canceled my subscription from XYZ company because now I loved your coffee so much. It was so much better. I'm now just going to always, you know, that's good to get like feedback from that. Like that kind of feedback is definitely good. So, but mentioning that part of it, when 3 years ago you go and you're now at the brick and mortar part, I'd already forgotten the question, so I'm going to totally cut this part out because coffee's a little strong tonight.
TBI is
the website.
In.
No, that's it. The TBI. We'll blame that one, not the coffee. No, so the website. You said the website orders is going great and stuff like that. So I just have one question. On your website,
Sure.
It's you go to the picture. I hear that, Bart. I can hear the pouring. It's anyways, when you go to the picture, it auto zooms over the coffee. Normally you have to click on it or whatever, but it zooms within that photo. It doesn't actually come out another. Was that accidental or was that done on purpose? Because when we were looking at your website, I was like, this is awesome. Holy cow, look at this. It was, you know.
Right.
So was it accidental or was it on purpose?
So that was just within our website building. That was one of the features that was available.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, you know, from my own experience of shopping online, you know, sometimes you want to get a closer look at something and it makes it a lot easier to, you know, if you just roll over and it auto zooms, just kind of a nice feature that we liked. And so we decided to incorporate it.
Yeah, I just liked it because it didn't pop out like another screen that could have gotten in the way. It's all within the same screen. There's not a new window that pops up or nothing like that.
Right.
That's a great feature. I like that one.
So are you guys selling all six different types of coffee at the store, or are you just putting out a couple at a time?
So for right now, we've just rolled out what we call our power blends, which is our Copacabana Beach and our Sacred Valley. So those are the ones that are actually on the store shelves. You know, it's a small town grocery store. And so naturally the purveyor of that store was worried about, you know, having too much product on the shelf and having product that he felt might be priced out of his customers' price range because they don't really have a way to sample it right there. And so for some people, $15 for a bag of coffee sounds like a lot. Knowing that, you know, what we know is that same coffee from other companies is going to cost $20 to $30.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people out there aren't willing to spend $20 to $30 for a bag of coffee. And so we try and bring that price point down and to where somebody can enjoy it and try it. And, you know, so that was kind of our base. So right now we just have 2 of the 6. And they're the 2 that we felt would do the best for both us and the purveyor of the store.
Nice.
Is this whole Corona thing, virus, is that affecting you guys out there in Utah? Is that something that's...
So in the state of Utah, there's definitely been some impact. But I think really when we start talking about coronavirus, it's really dependent on the industry. So some industries for sure have been hit extremely hard. Restaurants, bars, hotels have just been crushed. And they're all kind of struggling to adapt to the new reality, the post-corona reality. But for us, because we are mostly online, what we found is that we've actually done really, really well. So people that would normally have gone to a local cafe for their morning cup of coffee have started making their coffee at home, and they've realized that the coffee they've been buying sucks, and they want better coffee. And so we've actually just I just did an analytical report yesterday on, we've seen just comparing January of this year to April to today's date, comparing 2019 to 2020, we've seen a 200% increase in our business online.
Wow.
So for us, it's impacted us in a positive way. And that's been kind of beneficial for us. And one of the things that we offer now is local delivery. So if you live in our county, we will bring your coffee to your door for free. And that's just kind of a benefit of living in the same county as Salt Flat Coffee. And a lot of times, I mean, I'll, depending on, what our schedule looks like, we really, as soon as an order comes in, we get it put together and we get it shipped out. And that's because that's a really positive experience. From the time somebody, orders coffee on our website and 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, I'm leaving them a text message saying your coffee is on your front porch in the blue chair. And they're like, holy cow, like I haven't even gotten to the next commercial break in my TV show. I mean, it's a really positive experience. And so we try and do that, but that's one thing that's worked out really well. And I don't wait for the customer to come to the door. I usually find a discreet spot on their porch and I leave it. And then when I go out, before I leave their location, I'll send them a text message saying, hey, your coffee's on your porch. Just to try and, I don't know who's living in that house, and just trying to be conscious of the social distancing and giving people their space. We've been trying to respect that as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is your Salt Flat Coffee TED Talk for the day. Sorry, bro, I had to.
That's really as soon as you threw it up.
Yes. Well, as soon as you said, I did an analytical, that's a TED Talk.
That's why you changed it.
That's why I changed it. So, all right, community involvement, still being involved with the veteran community. So I contacted Denny over there at OP Vet. Now, I know you have, definitely. And you sell Canteen Coffee on your website, which actually happened to be the person that's changing their order to yours was their favorite. So I thought that was kind of funny, and I thought that was awesome at the same time, because I don't know if they realize they're helping two organizations at one time with it. So you want to tell us a little bit about OP Vet and what I'm talking about, the Canteen Coffee?
Yeah, so OP Veteran, they're a really small organization and they're based in the Austin, Texas area, and they do a lot of good work in bringing veteran organizations together. 2 + 2 is 5, synergetic effect. And you throw the TED Talk up again.
Oh yeah, okay. Let me get that.
But they're really good at bringing those. There you go. At bringing those things together, bringing different veteran organizations together, and then creating an environment where veterans can go and engage with those organizations, whether it's a VSO or it's a veteran-owned business or a veterans charity. They're really good at organizing those types of events. And so they had reached out to another coffee company that was really, really well known and did some charity work like that, that they roasted coffee, and they just never heard back, really, because they're too small.
Yeah.
And when you're really small, and people don't really think you can give them the kind of exposure that they want, well, then, they don't return your emails, they don't answer your phone calls, that kind of thing. And that was what Denny was experiencing. And so I reached out to him and said, "Hey, look, I'd love to do this with you." And he immediately was like, this is fantastic, because for a veteran organization like OP Veteran, you can only sell so many hats and T-shirts and koozies before somebody wants to support your organization. But how many hats and shirts are they going to put in their closet? So with the coffee, it really gives them a revenue stream that renews, and people can continually buy that coffee and continually support their organization, and it's a win-win for both of us, really. Almost all the profits really go to OP Veteran. Salt Flat Coffee, we don't profit off of OP Veteran.
Who did the design and stuff?
Yeah, we do it for right at our cost, and then when they first wanted to get started, they didn't have a ton of capital, and so what we agreed to do was we front loaded their logo design for the bags, and we got everything like that created with the agreement that they would sell X number of bags within the first year, and ultimately what I didn't want to put any pressure on them to worry about the contract. So the contract that we signed with OP Veteran essentially said they were going to sell X number of bags of coffee, and they would have 1 year to figure out if that was what they wanted to continue to do. And if they wanted to continue to do it, but they hadn't sold the required number of bags, there was no penalty. Then we'll just keep doing it. We'll just keep doing it because I wanted to support them. I wanted to help them. And it gave us, a little bit more exposure, not much. There's nothing on their bag. There's nothing on their label that says Salt Flat Coffee Company, because I felt like it was more important to help them promote their organization. And the coffee that we developed for their canteen cup coffee is unique to them. It's not one of my coffees that I just repackaged with their logo on it. So if you order canteen cup coffee, you are getting a different coffee from what we roast. We do roast it, but we don't sell it as anything else.
Nothing under the Salt Flat name. The Salt Flat
right.
Name.
So it is its own unique coffee with its own blend. And I felt like that was really important because I didn't want somebody to feel like, well, they ordered our coffee and they're just getting the same thing.
All right. So then now I have to ask this question. And it's kind of a serious question. You're helping out a veteran organization. I know, as serious, I guess, as it can be. You're helping out a veteran organization with OP Vet. Great organization. You are a veteran yourself, Navy. Honorable,
Correct.
Retired, all that stuff, done with the military kind of thing with your nice, happy DD-214 blanket. However, your Salt Flat bags have no mention whatsoever of veteran. U.S., made U.S., things like that. Reason for not having veteran owned and things like that as far as the bag goes.
So, I felt like within the veteran community and veteran entrepreneurs, one, it wasn't just me. It was me and my wife. And then the other part of it was I felt like there was, among veteran entrepreneurs, there was this push of, to market things as being veteran owned, veteran operated. And I felt like, well, that's great because right now there's a really supportive environment in our culture in America to support veterans and their endeavors. But it hasn't always been that way. If you go back 50 years, 60 years, especially during the Vietnam era, there was nothing that, people didn't want anything to do with veterans. There was a very small population that was, violently against anything veteran. And so I felt like it was a little bit of a taking of advantage of the current culture, which is fine. But I also felt like, just being honest, it was played out. and I really I don't want people to order my coffee because I'm a veteran. I want people to order my coffee because it's phenomenal. It's delicious. It's really good coffee. And I felt like if my product is really good, and it's made in an honest and ethical manner, and I'm doing good business, and I'm fostering positive relationships, that we really didn't need to say, hey, it's veteran owned. I don't hide it, and I certainly I'm very proud of my veteran tag, but at the same time, I mean, I remember a lot of people that wanted to join the military, and for whatever reason, whether it was personal or it was medical or maybe educational, there was just reasons they couldn't join, and I didn't want to say, well, I just wanted to feel like, hey, yeah, I'm a veteran. That's great. It was a contract I made with the U.S. government. I fulfilled my end. They fulfilled their end. And now I'm roasting coffee, and it's fantastic. And that's why I want people to order it.
Nice. Thank you.
So have you ever made any coffee like just that kind of just blew your mind after you guys roasted it and just was like, oh my God, this has got to be our next coffee. This is what we have to sell because this is so good. You ever have any accidents or anything like that?
Of course. Yeah, we had, when we initially developed our coffee roast, we asked ourselves the question, why do people drink coffee? And some people drink it for the taste. Others people drink it for the caffeine. So we really wanted to create two separate coffees lines. One that was going to cater towards the person that wanted the best tasting coffee, and then somebody else who wanted the highest caffeine content, because those two are somewhat contradictory in coffee roasting. And then, you know, we just spontaneously, I was up one morning and Trudy was roasting coffee, and she mixed two batches of different roasts together. And so, well, you can't separate them now. And so
completely accidental.
Yeah. And so we he's yelling at me from the other room because nothing I ever do is going to be good enough. And so she came to me with this. So she brewed it and brought it to me and looked me dead in the eye and said, "This is going to be our next roast. You got to taste this. It's fantastic." And we are making this into another roast. And so I thought, well, okay, here we go. I'll give it a shot. And it was really delicious. It had a flavor profile that was nothing like we had currently. And so we went through the process of making sure that we could replicate it and duplicate that flavor for our customers. And then we went ahead, we got with our graphic designer, we got the bag art done, and we went ahead and launched it. And now that's called Trailhead. And Trailhead is a mix of African and Latin American coffees. And it's probably one of our best sellers currently. It's really, really good.
The best seller is the accident. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The accident.
So
it's funny. I'm so obsessed with coffee. It's become such an issue. Go ahead. You gotta say something.
Okay, I thought I spent a lot of money when I paid $100 for my coffee maker. That's on our website.
Right.
He calls me one day and he goes, "Bro, wife gave me the okay. I can pay $1,800 for a coffee." I go, "What? Now you go and tell him about your little fancy dancy $1,800 coffee."
Well, it actually wasn't completely my fault. She asked me,
"That's what I just
would
said.
I think about getting this?" And she showed it to me. And normally I'm just like, "Are you freaking crazy? There is no way we're spending that much money on a coffee maker." But I go to a local coffee shop here every day, and they do discounts for me. It's actually getting kind of ridiculous. But
who pays $1
I pay
for a cup of
coffee in the morning, right? And I used to drop my kid off at daycare, which is right down the street. And I've been going there for 4 years. My 4-year-old is absolutely in love with one of the girls that's worked there for the last 4 years. and goes in and gives her hugs, and she lets him come behind the counter and hand coffee out. It's crazy. And so she actually just got another job, and she was leaving the company, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, maybe I should start doing this at home. And and when she said that, I'm like, you know what, let's just do it. And so I ordered this thing, and at first the coffee was so horrible. God, doing an espresso when you don't know what you're doing can be the worst thing in the world. And it's been what, 3 months, Chad?
Yeah.
About 3-4 months now.
Yep.
And now it's my wife is finally drinking the stuff that I'm making, because the first time she's like, oh God, and she's trying to be nice. I'm like, I need you to be honest. I need you to be honest. Don't tell me it's okay, but a little bitter. Just tell me if you hate it, you hate it. And now it's just an obsession. So I drank probably about 4 or 5 cups, big cups, by about 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Just trying to get the mix down and everything. And then I'll have a regular cup of coffee, which I'll throw some salt flat in, or I'll do, other local brands, or just to kind of mix it up with coffee. But yeah, I'm still stuck in that military mode where, I can't get moving through the whole entire day without at least 12 cups of coffee.
Right.
At some point, it's going to kill me. But as long as they throw a bag of coffee in with me while I go into the ground, I'll be happy. But it's getting pretty bad. It's getting ridiculous. So
he cleans it.
It's funny because he came up with the name Coffee with Two Vets. And
yeah.
I'm the one obsessed with coffee.
Yeah, I like coffee. I'd rather have an obsession over, motorcycle parts. The amount, what you can buy for $1,800, guns, computer equipment, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so I was watching a video the other day, some show, and they went and they visited some roaster or whatever. So the only kind of roasting question I'm going to ask you, because I don't want to ask too much as far as your company, because I know I'm sure proprietary and stuff.
Right.
So it was a place that's in the United States, but when they were talking about their roasting, they said they go off of the Celsius versus Fahrenheit. Do you also go? I know it's weird. That's why I was like, I wonder if he does the same. Do you go off of the Celsius or do you go off of Fahrenheit?
So I
know they're the same, but I just his machine read that way, and that's why I was just wondering.
Right. And that's not necessarily uncommon if he's using a machine that's manufactured in another country. Right. So if he's using a German roaster, then he very well could have all of his thermometers are calibrated in Celsius. My roaster that I use is manufactured here in the United States.
Okay.
So all of my temperatures were all in Fahrenheit. I have the ability to switch them over to Celsius, but I just, for me, it really didn't matter. And I was used to roasting in Fahrenheit, so I just stayed with it.
All right. So now that's going to lead into the lingo. Every position, every job, every company, they have their own lingo. So I'm gonna pass a couple things to you here that I learned as far as lingo goes.
Oh, okay.
You ready?
Here we go.
1 pop, 2 pops. 1 crack, 2 cracks.
Right.
All right.
Yep.
First crack, like popcorn. So you get the first crack, and then it gets a little darker. It lets out the oils. Second crack, it's letting out the sweetness. It also gets darker. So that's what you want to listen for, and I guess it's okay. So anyways, that's the lingo. You got the first crack or pop. Which one is it?
It's crack. It's called crack. First crack, second crack.
Yeah, first crack, second crack. That's the only lingo I picked up from this show. That's how much I was paying attention. So what are the kind of lingos in the coffee industry though? Like what else? If somebody wanted to start a coffee business and they go in to talk to somebody, they're going to, well, you want this crack or that crack. And they're going to be like, no, not the drug industry. What is it for coffee? So
a whole different type of coffee.
Whole different type. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So first crack within coffee, I'll just talk about the cracks for a second. But first crack is going to be really at the moment that your coffee becomes drinkable. So if you're roasting coffee and you don't get to first crack and you pull it off the heat prior to that, it's going to taste really, really bad. It's going to taste really grassy. You're going to get kind of a grassy flavoring in it, and it's not going to be very enjoyable. Then from first crack to second crack, the flavor is constantly changing as the temperature progresses. For the average person, a 5-degree swing is not going to change the way the coffee tastes, but to a professional, educated coffee taster, they're going to be able to tell the difference in a 5-degree swing in roasting most coffees, not all, but some. And then second crack is really when you start getting into really dark roasts. And so beyond second crack, you're going to have a lot of different flavor notes. And some people like coffees that are after second crack. Most people, even if they tell you, hey, I like really dark coffee, most people don't like coffee that's roasted past second crack. And the Specialty Coffee Association has a flavor wheel, and no kidding, beyond second crack, there's a flavor that is burnt rubber as one of the flavors.
Wow.
So you could have a coffee with a flavor note of burning Michelin tires.
Well, this guy, because whenever he had, he twisted the thing, pull out, and he was going around. It might have been the wheel that you're talking about, but he was going around to see if it matched the color he was looking for.
Right.
And then he was like, nope, still got to keep going or whatever like that. But yeah, that might be on that wheel. So
yeah,
that's crazy.
And you can get, and coffee people will get as far into the weeds as possible. So there's coffee drinkers vary all the way from the guy who stops at the gas station on the way to work in the morning and grabs coffee that's been burning since 2:00 in the morning, all the way down to, and I follow some of them on Facebook because I think they're really interesting. But some of them, I mean, they'll measure the total dissolved solids of the water that they're using to brew their coffee. And so, I mean, and the mineral content and all that kind of stuff, they'll use a spectrometer to measure the color of the brown of the bean so that they can establish controls and stuff like that. So it's really fascinating and interesting. For me, a lot of that is forest for the trees. I know a good coffee when it hits my tongue, and I know a coffee that I don't like when it hits my tongue. And that's, for me, that's kind of the end all be all. When I have somebody taste my coffee and they tell me it's the best coffee they've ever had in their life, that's a win, and I'll take it every time.
Nice. All right.
Did she say grandpa?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's yelling at me from the background about her grandfather. Right before he passed away, he came to visit us, and we had some fresh roasted coffee, and we made some for him, and he was just blown away. His whole life, he never knew coffee could be that good.
Nice.
And we live on a lake here in Utah, and we just sat out on the deck and we watched the geese out on the lake and enjoyed the coffee, and it was fantastic. It was really nice. It was a great event.
So what
Chad and I were stationed together overseas, and because of our job, we were allowed to go off base in the security area. And I gotta tell it, because it's the start of my obsession. And we drive down to this place, and to give you an idea of where we were, when we pulled into the parking lot, there was a Ferrari, 430 something or whatever it was, sitting next to us, that had a flat tire and was it was a black car, and it was completely covered in probably about 1.5 inches of sand and dust and from the environment. and
Yeah, it was bad.
apparently the car had a flat tire, so the guy's like, "Gotta
Yeah,
go
whatever.
buy a new one."
Yep.
So we go into this coffee shop that somebody had mentioned, and we said, we'd like the best cup of coffee you have, whatever it is. And this lady said, okay. And she talked to somebody in the back, and they made us this cup of coffee, and it absolutely turned me to being obsessed with coffee because it was so good. And for about 6 months, Chad was obsessed because every single time he went down, the catch-all was we didn't know what she made, so we
Never
didn't know
told
how
us.
to order it again.
Never told us.
Never
Yeah.
told us what
Nope.
we were drinking. And we were so blown away about how good this was, we never asked. So we spent the next 7 months going down as many times as we can. Dogs were getting sick that weren't really getting sick. We just down so we could go to the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And he'd come back in through the gate, and it's like, nah, that's not it. And it was so disappointing. It was still a good cup of coffee, but yeah, it was just, and it's been just an amazing process. But on that note, go ahead.
Oh, this is how good it was. It was so good that we've been on Google Maps multiple times to try to find the name of the store, because the lady said she also has a coffee shop in Chicago, as well as there and overseas. So I'm like, we got to find the name of it. So we go to Google. All right, let's track down. Okay, maybe it's this turn. Nope, not that turn. Okay, well maybe it's it. Nope, it's not that. Okay, maybe it's this. Nope, not that one. That's how good it is that we're still trying to find and locate the name of the place. Just to drive to Chicago.
To get a hold of this lady and go, what
was it?
Did you give us?
Yeah.
That's how good it was. Like nothing else.
And so anyway, she has 2 shops, one in the States and one overseas. And it kind of made me wonder, like a lot of companies, there's a company here in Columbus that started off roasting, and then all of a sudden they were like everywhere in Columbus when I came home on leave. And then now they're back down to 2 or 3 shops, and that's it.
Right.
Have you ever thought about doing anything like that, of starting up a coffee shop to give people more of a?
Yeah, so we absolutely have, and we've kind of been eyeing a piece of raw real estate that we would love to open a shop on. Anytime you're looking at a shop, regardless of what you're selling, it's location, 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 right? The 3 rules of real estate, and it really definitely puts another spin on whatever you're trying to do business wise. And for us, we really got passionate about the roasting process, the roasting of coffee. And there's really 3, in my humble opinion, there's really only 3 major disciplines within coffee. The first one being the growing, and I include the processing of the raw coffee in that, but the growing and the creation of raw coffee. Then you have the roasting, where you're actually taking that raw coffee and you're turning it into a usable consumer good. And that takes a completely different skill set. And then you have the actual brewing or serving of the coffee. And that's a whole nother completely different set of skills. I know that if, my speed and adaptability behind an espresso machine is pretty weak. That's just not where my specialty lies. And that's mainly my interest is in the roasting of the coffee. We have considered opening a store for sure. Right now, our efforts are focused on partnering with people that don't do what we do. So we had at one point, we had a coffee shop that was serving our coffee, and that was a great relationship. We really loved it. They were a local coffee shop, and the current coffee roaster they were using wasn't user friendly. It was a smaller coffee shop. They didn't do a lot of volume, and their current roaster was kind of like, well, we're going to make you jump through the hoops because your business isn't worth us jumping through hoops. And so when I showed up on their doorstep and said, hey, I've got this coffee, I want you to try it, I'd love to be your roaster, if you're interested, but here's some samples, give it a whirl, see what you think. And I'll be back in a week. And I came back a week later, and they said they absolutely loved it. And I had told them, I said, look, you call me up and I will deliver the coffee to your establishment within 24 hours. And that's 7 days a week. And all you have to do is send me a text message telling me what you want, and I'll deliver it 24 hours later. And she was just blown away. She was like, what do you mean? You mean I don't have to come pick it up from you? You mean I don't have to order it a month in advance? Nope. And having the agility to be able to help a customer like that, it means the world to them. They really appreciate it,
You have a real grasp of customer service and what that means. This country has kind of lost that mentality, where you come to us, we might have what you need, we might not, but you come to us, and there are some companies out there that are jumping through hoops for their customer and doing what they need to do, and it's a very, very important thing for companies to do that for the customers. It really is. And it's when I find a company that I like, it doesn't matter if it's more expensive. Mm-hmm. It's the customer service. Yep. If the product's good and the customer service is good, I don't care what's out there. I don't care if Walmart comes in and starts selling cheap coffee or whatever. It's the absolute most important thing, I think, in a lot of companies is the customer service. And it sounds like you have a huge grasp on it and doing things that companies haven't done since the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah. There's when it comes to customer service, I really I really embrace that golden rule, of do unto others as you would have done unto you, and you're absolutely right. And you're not alone. Most people, if the customer service is fantastic, they acknowledge that part of what they're paying for is that customer service, and they don't mind it. They're not opposed to it. They want somebody to be honest with them. And I've spoken with coffee shop owners that have said, well, I think you make good coffee, but I'm concerned because I don't think you're big enough to handle the kind of volume that I need for my business. I think I'm too big of a customer for you. And my answer was, well, there is no customer that's too big. Our business model and the way we've structured our business, we are 100% scalable. And so we're scalable without sacrificing. So, a lot of coffee companies, as they grow in size, they'll buy a bigger roaster. So currently, my roaster does less than 10 pounds in a batch. And so a lot of companies will say, well, I'm doing more business now, so I'm going to buy a bigger roaster. Well, as soon as you do that, you're going to change the flavor of your coffee. You can't stop it. It's not impossible to duplicate, but it's extremely difficult to duplicate. And I'm not interested in that. But if that means that I'm hiring more people because I've got the business to support it, then that's what I would do. And just, on our current setup, we have done up to 3,000 pounds a week.
Dang.
Wow. So when you really wrap your head around 3,000 pounds a week, you're looking at, 12,000 pounds. So 6 tons of coffee a month. Now, I don't know how big this guy thinks his coffee shop is, but he's not going through 6 tons in a month.
Oh, God.
No.
And
people aren't sleeping out there.
His customers aren't, that's for sure. Jesus.
There's really our business model and our business plan, really, we're completely scalable to meet whatever need is out there. And the coffee importer that we work with is fantastic. And they do a really good job of making sure that we get the coffee that we need. that's at the specific grade, because coffee is graded. And they're really good about making sure that we get the coffee that's graded within our business model. And so it's great. It's been really fun, and we're completely open to new opportunities, and you never know when the next one's going to come around.
All right, so if somebody opened up a coffee shop in, let's see, I lived in New Mexico. Okay, so just down the road, right? Just down the road from you guys. Somebody opened up a coffee shop in New Mexico. How much is it for, say, 50 pounds of coffee beans a month? I don't know how much a coffee shop goes through bean-wise or anything like that. But if somebody wanted, say, 50 pounds of coffee a month, what's an estimated cost when you're talking about shipping, everything else? Because right now you're going to deliver for free, but you're not going to deliver to another state for free.
No, I only deliver within my own county. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna order some coffee right now, and I should get a text message. It's on your porch.
Yeah, hey, it's on your porch.
Come in for a cup of coffee?
Hey, yeah. So you make coffee. How about an espresso bean?
So for an espresso bean, I would really recommend our Blue Nile. It's 100% Ethiopian. And it's really
write that
good.
Down. He's looking at it. Oh, okay. Let me.
Yeah. So Blue Nile really comes through with some great flavors in espresso.
Yeah, that's the one actually I have upstairs. Is your Blue Nile.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really good coffee.
I wonder why it's good.
I do have it upstairs.
Yeah, you also. It's the same one that you have upstairs. Yeah.
Yeah, actually I do have one upstairs. I'll have to try that.
That's funny.
It's such a weird process, because when I change beans, I have to take my grinder apart, and my wife laughed at me because I bought an attachment for my vacuum cleaner with a micro thing so I could get in there and get all the old stuff out.
Dude, tell them about your perfect cup of coffee. Cleaning. You were cleaning it. You made your perfect cup of coffee.
I don't know if we talked about this before, but I took the whole thing apart. I vacuumed it all out. I got the air in there to get it out, wiped it down, and put it all back together, and took my beans and threw them in there and grinded them up. And, it takes about a couple of batches just to get the right grind. So for the different bean for me. And I finally got it perfect. It was dialed in. The coffee was great. It wasn't bitter. It was just perfect. It was flowing perfect. And I was so excited. And I ended up going through that batch and had to get a new bag. And I looked at it to see what my setting was. And I had put it back together backwards. So the numbers were in the back of it. And I had no idea what the setting was. And I just almost wanted to cry because I knew it was going to be one of those moments.
You hear in the background?
Yeah.
I just was like, you gotta be kidding, because it was perfect for what I was capable of making at the time. And so I had to go through that whole process again.
Yeah, that's our kind, but that really is our kind of luck, though. We find the perfect coffee, we can't get it again. Make the perfect coffee, God, mess it up. It can't. Yeah. So
that's
what's
awesome.
So on your website you can also buy those teapots that tell you the temperature on the top.
Right.
So if somebody, yeah, there you go.
Kettle.
Thank you. If somebody's watching. They just make coffee, whatever. What's the right temperature for the perfect cup of coffee in your mind?
So I really like to try and hit it. I usually hit it right around 190. Of course, again, we're talking Fahrenheit.
Yeah, God, I hope so. 160 for her, nice.
Yeah, she likes to pull it around 160. I like to pull it around 190. It just really kind of there's a lot of personal flavor that's going to go into that. Just the way that you like to do it.
Yeah, see with her, I'm straight with her on that one too. 160 is great. I don't like going someplace where the first sip is just going to burn my mouth and therefore I lose all the flavor for like the rest of the day. There's a couple places that do that, so I like the 160, a little bit milder. cools off faster. So.
Wow, I'm really overshooting mine. I'm 205.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, I got a temperature gauge on the machine, so that's where I'm pushing it out. But I also throw the milk in and all that, so it's
right. Yeah.
And
that's gonna.
Have you done a thermostat to make sure that temperature is actually correct on it?
On mine?
Yeah, on yours.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know if you like double check just to make sure it stays the right height.
I have a thermometer that I put in there for like when I'm doing milk. Milk's got to be. I think my biggest mistake was I was asleep and I ended up throwing sugar in with the milk and frothing that, and it turns out like you remember in Turkey where we would have that steamed milk.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had it, but that's it.
That and the apple chai.
And then it was like, okay, start watching some videos on how to do this because you're a complete moron when it comes to making the coffee. And it's like, I've been doing all this stuff wrong, and it's taken a while. It's amazing how much information there is about coffee out there.
Oh yeah,
God.
And it's not just some people are just that stop and go or that McDonald's coffee people, and it's
right.
There's a huge difference. It's a huge difference across the board.
Yeah.
Well, look, you can see right now. Sorry to cut you off, but you can see right now the opinions here. It's a 160, 160, 190. You're 205. So it's the same with the color of the bean and everything else. Like that's how big and how different it is.
Yeah, and I would absolutely, I love your guys's eternal search for the perfect cup. I mean,
we're talking to Steve from Salt Flat Coffee that we're talking about finding the perfect cup from a different coffee company. I just now realized what we were doing.
You like telling him about the perfect coffee. I'm like, yep, but it's funny because.
Sorry, brother.
We've been talking about doing rides up to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ride out to Utah.
Yeah.
I want to come out and see, see what you guys are doing and
yeah.
It's just kind of one of those things where I have such a passion for the coffee right now.
So I went down to Salt Lake City, right? Got a hold of him, said, "Hey, bro, we need to meet up. I need to order some coffee and also get some sent out to Dad." All right, cool. Leaving town. We were supposed to meet up last night. We totally missed because I ended up meeting up with my aunt that lives about 45 minutes out of Salt Lake City, and he lives about 30 minutes the other direction. And we just happened to miss each other.
Yeah,
but
it just didn't work out.
It sucked. But all right, so have you gone to the island? What is it called? What deer? Antelope Island or whatever?
Course.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So yeah. So when you went down, did you go out to the water?
Oh yeah. We did the half mile trek through the sand flies to get to the water.
No warning about this, not knowing. So anybody that's watching this wants to go to Salt Lake City, wants to go to Antelope Island, go. It's beautiful. You go. We drove all the way around the island, which was cool. Got to see all the different animals and things like that. Then we parked. Of course, it was a hot day. But we decided to go and trek down, like you said, the half a mile in soft sand with a 4-year-old. We didn't stop by the visitor center until the way out, the gift shop area until the way out. So anybody going there, go to the visitor center first, go to the gift shop first, get the netting, get that net to cover your head.
Yes.
And then go out to the water and then make that half-hour trek. Well, no, that's actually how long it took. Get out to the water because a 4-year-old screaming because of these flies that are all over, and they're like, I felt like Moses parting the Red Sea, walking through these the sand flies, just to get out to the water. I was like, we touched the water. She's freaking out. Let's go. And that was the extent of our whole stay out there, which sucked. So we're gonna go back. This time we're gonna actually get the mask to cover our heads because she's 4. She's like 2 feet off the ground, so they're all over her.
Oh,
the sand flies were all over her, so I had to pick her up and carry her that half mile back through the soft sand. That sucked. That really sucked. But if you're properly prepared, it's okay. Yeah. And take an umbrella if it's hot outside.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness, man. That was horrible down there, dude. God, that was horrible. That sucked so bad. But it was good.
So I just want to. So we kind of started laughing and about the perfect cup of coffee, but the one thing that I want to share with you is that there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in the coffee community that are so open to each other and encouraging of one another. And I know it's not like that everywhere, but at least my experience here in Salt Lake with other coffee companies and other coffee shops and the whole gambit, there's a real culture, at least here in Salt Lake City, of people being really open and inviting. I went to they used to have an organization called the Utah Coffee Collective, and I went to my first meeting and I really didn't know what to expect, and they were so welcoming, and they were just like, so what kind of beans are you using? What are your roast profiles look like? Are you doing guys mostly doing dark, mostly doing light? It was just really exciting and they didn't know me at all. It wasn't like I knew these people from something else.
Mm-hmm.
I was meeting them for the first time, and there was a lot of support. The Utah Coffee Collective is not really around anymore, but I still feel that same energy when I go to the other local roasters. And sometimes I'll swing by to just enjoy a cup of what they're doing. You can absolutely appreciate coffee, and I can't roast every coffee bean in the world. I can't have every flavor profile in the world. And so it's really exciting to go. If you were, it's kind of like if you equated it to beer, right? And I worked at one brewery,
Right.
and I said, well, I love the beer that we make. It's fantastic. It's delicious. Well, that doesn't mean I'm never going to drink beer from somewhere else. That would be ridiculous,
Right.
And coffee's a lot that same way. I enjoy coffees from different shops, different roasters, and it's that constant enjoy. I always do come back to our coffees because I do love them, but there's if you were a sports car guy and you loved Corvettes, well that doesn't mean you're not gonna look at a GT 500 Mustang and not be like, man, that's a cool car.
Yeah.
Amen.
That guy, the guy that does that is an absolute D-bag, and nobody wants to be around him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Nice.
It's funny how that works, isn't it? There's
Right.
so much out there that why limit yourself? Why not just
Yeah.
experience it all? Plus, it provokes different ideas of what you want to do, and gives you a different perspective on different types of different types of coffee. So
Sure.
why limit yourself just to what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever thought
Makes
about? You guys ever thought about doing like blueberry, strawberry, like some kind of a fruit flavor with the coffee? I know some
So
places
there
do
are,
stuff like that. So
so there's definitely coffees
There is?
out there that will have those flavors naturally. Um, and while I really enjoy a coffee with a fruity note or a blueberry note or something like that, for most people, that is an absolute shock to the senses, and they don't like it. They don't want it. They can't, and it's not even. It's just that they're not prepared for it, and it completely throws them off. And we've all had that experience, right? Where you're expecting to take a sip of one thing and it's something else, and it doesn't mean that other thing is bad, but it's not what you were expecting, right?
Yep.
And so we haven't really decided to kind of dive into those types of coffees, or develop those type of notes. We really want to make coffee for a more common audience, a more broad audience of people that expect kind of that classical coffee flavor, but they don't want the bitterness, they don't want the harshness, and so that's kind of where we focus our efforts.
I gotcha. Nice.
There's that law that we were that little silent.
The all right. So gotta ask you. I know I'm out of the picture right now. All right. What movie do you want to see a sequel of all time?
Oh,
All time.
Oh.
I'm over here hitting buttons. I gotta get away
oh
from that.
man.
We were just talking about this
We
earlier.
were talking about this earlier. So, but on yours, I'll tell you mine, or not made. Which one is coming up that should not be made? Whichever.
A movie coming up that should not be made.
Yeah, or one that should be made. I'll take one or the other.
I kind of feel like I don't feel like I'm in touch with what's coming out of Hollywood good enough to really say what is being made that shouldn't be made.
All right, I'll give you one. And
sure.
I'll ask you this: a new Lethal Weapon with the original cast.
He's thinking
I don't know if Danny Glover's. If anybody's seen Danny Glover lately,
He's 73.
His line of "I'm too old for this"
Salt flat coffee.
Absolutely, really play well in a remake of Lethal Weapon with the original cast. That would be and I don't know. I mean, do they have a? Are they trying to bust a drug kingpin at the retirement center?
You know, they're looking for writers. You should actually send them a script. And have that actually as it, like, you know.
Oh, I absolutely think I missed my calling. I think I'm going to
Anyway, so that's coming out. A new Indiana Jones. They're talking about a new Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that one's another one that probably shouldn't be made.
Just
the last one they made, what was it? Crystal Skull.
The skull, the Crystal Skull,
was so absolutely. It was heinous. It was really bad.
Yeah, that's what we were like. You know, they should just went with the what is it? The Junior. Have Junior pick up the reins and go.
Yeah, well, the thing and really what made Crystal Skull just atrocious was their overuse of CGI. Right? I mean, if you go back to the original Raiders of the Lost Ark, they had almost no I mean, there was no CGI. It was all, hey, we got wax figures and we're going to hit them with a blowtorch and just let their faces melt off,
Yeah. No kidding. I got to watch that tonight.
I know.
But it was, even that was way better than, having these ants that are the size of Buicks chasing them in the Crystal Skull. Was just absolutely terrible. But we kind of, I think that last Indiana Jones was really in a moment where, okay, what we can do anything we want with CGI. Let's just, what you can do it all and just go crazy. And it just ends up coming off kind of bad.
All right. So then what from the past should have either a reboot or a sequel?
So this is going to be kind of weird. Stick with me here for a moment.
All right.
Okay.
I would really have liked to have seen a sequel to Saving Private Ryan with Private Ryan coming back to the States, after the big battle, because the movie ends, he's an old man, he's in Normandy, and he asks his wife, "Am I a good man?" And he's looking for that affirmation. And I would like to believe that he would have, something that we all struggle with, there isn't, not everything in our military careers it wasn't all sunshine and roses. And there might have been an affirmation that he was looking for. And I would enjoy, right cast, right script, right everything else. I think that post World War II story that leads, kind of from his return from the war all the way through his trip to Normandy and how that influences his life, I think would have been I think it had the potential to be a really impactful story.
That would definitely be a great part two. That would be
yeah.
I mean, the way they ended it was perfect, but you just anything with Tom Hanks, you just want more. You just you just God, I wish he would do something else with it. I mean, I've absolutely enjoyed some of the movies that he's done, and those are probably some of the best.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming out with a new new movie that was supposed to be out a couple months ago that they postponed for releasing until this whole virus is over.
Sure.
And he's the ship captain in World War II going up against the U-boats. And,
Yes. I've seen a trailer. I believe I've seen a trailer for that one.
I haven't seen that, but the first thought that comes to my head is the ship is going to get destroyed and he's going to be on a deserted island.
It's Castaway.
It's Castaway. Yeah.
You were on a boat. I was on a plane.
Yeah.
Here's a FedEx box.
Yeah. And he's just walking, and he just sees the volleyball's already there. You know, Wilson's already there. Somebody left him there. You know what I mean? So
I found this floating out in the water. Jeez. I was so excited to see Bad Boys 2 come out. Or Bad Boys 3.
That's For Life.
And yeah, For Life.
It was written well. I tell you what, it was written well. For the age of the characters, it was written very well. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not.
I have not seen that one yet.
It's hysterical.
It's on the list.
It is hysterical. Yeah. It was written well for that because they bring in a younger cast that's calling them grandpa, okay, you know, oldie, you know, whatever, you know, retirement home references, all that other stuff for those guys. So it was written very well for those two. It was good. Let me tell you, we went out. Tyler went out. We went out to go watch. You didn't like it.
I hated it. I guess I would have liked it more if I didn't buy it the day it came out. And I waited until it hit HBO or something where I didn't pay for it, and I'd be like, okay, that's all right. But
it's all right. Yeah.
I paid $19 for it the day it came out. Like, why did I do this? It's so bad for $19.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you. It was good. Yeah, Corona.
One that's,
my elbow has Corona now.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited for Maverick, the sequel to Top Gun. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be interesting. It definitely, the visuals from the trailer look phenomenal. The flight scenes, the Navy really kind of gave them a lot of help with the first Top Gun. And that was somewhat unprecedented. The military just, you had to fake that stuff. The military didn't give you access to an aircraft carrier and all this other stuff. But the recruiting boom that the Navy got post Top Gun, it was ridiculous. I don't know that they're necessarily going to get that same bump in recruitment from this one, but I think it's going to be a lot of the same lines, like the Bad Boy, what you're talking about, where you've got that older cast. Tom Cruise is obviously not a lieutenant anymore. That would be ridiculous,
right?
Unless he was in the National Guard, But
for the Army,
But I think it's going to be visually. I think it's going to be a really exciting movie to watch. And really, that's all we want to see. We just want to see some jets do some loop-de-loops and shoot bad guys and call it a wrap.
I hope they did it right, because Top Gun is one of those legendary movies that weird but good, and they really had the right formula there, and they could really destroy everything with it.
They had the good writers, the actors, and the music, the soundtrack that went with it as well. Like it all played out very nicely.
It looks like they got a grasp on it, but so did the other movie, the Bad Boys. Yeah, it seemed advertisements that this is going to be phenomenal, and it's like, wow.
Well, and I'm always a little bit scared when I see a movie trailer and I get really excited, right? Yeah. Because immediately after, as soon as the trailer ends, I replay it in my head and I think, did I just watch all of the best parts? The best
parts. I hate that. And let me tell you, that happens. Yeah, you're not lying. That happens. Yeah. So for mine, I would love to see a sequel of Blazing Saddles.
Oh
my God.
Yes. Yes. Anything. Honestly, anything.
Right now,
which is why I think anything Mel Brooks. I think anything Mel Brooks. If that, or a Monty Python style remake of something.
Oh my gosh.
I think we just brilliant.
I mean, I can't imagine that getting made under any circumstances.
No. Oh God, no.
I mean,
dude. Well, that's like what's the Spaceballs? They can make a Spaceballs too. Every time they make a Star Wars, they can make a Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Every single time. But they don't. Make another Spaceballs. That perfect. Just continue it with Star Wars, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, brother. Well, we've spent an hour 20, so I know I'm gonna have to cut some of this out. Hopefully not too much.
All right.
Dude, it's been fun. It's been
so
awesome.
much. Thank you
Again,
for doing this.
Salt Flat Coffee out of Utah. What's your website?
Saltflatcoffee.com.
All right.
And we're also on Facebook, Instagram. And if you have any questions, or if any of your listeners have questions about the coffees on our website, message us on Facebook or Instagram. We're usually pretty good about staying on top of our messages. And, if you have a question about which one of our coffees might be right for you, we'd be happy to answer that as well.
Yep. Me, I bought all 4 the first time. Discount because he didn't want to carry them back home with him. So that was a great score on my point. So I loved them all. Like the high caffeine was definitely good. But all right, so saltflatcoffee.com or saltflat.com?
Amazing.
Saltflatcoffee.com.
Coffee.com. All right, good deal. Instagram. What's your Instagram? Salt Flat Coffee?
Yeah, Salt Flat Coffee on Instagram, Salt Flat Coffee
Gotta
on
make
Facebook,
sure. And if you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to be posted down. Link will be posted down there on the bottom. So, Good deal. All right, brother.
And we'll be giving out a cup of coffee when this goes post. We'll be giving out a bag of coffee when this gets posted for all the coffee machine posts, and we will. Yeah,
I don't know if you saw that yet on our Facebook page. I said, man, post your coffee setup and get your name added. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So we'll be posting that, and we'll do a live stream of that one.
Sounds good.
So
thank you so much.
All right, appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.
Have a good night.
All right.
All right.
Cut.
Salt Flat Coffee.